Brian Wilson is a real dear friend of mine, and we would record in the same studio. And sometimes he would come and get me and say, listen, I need your ears for a minute. I need you to come in and listen. I'm having a little trouble. And if I was having trouble, I would bring him in, and we would sit and discuss, because, you know, and boy, this is like, you know, 65, 66, somewhere in there. And we were inventing sounds and stuff in the studio. And so yeah, we would discuss all the time, because he would say, how do you get that real big backbeat? Because I want to get that, you know, and all this stuff. And you know, and yeah, talking to Elvis, of course, working with Phil Spector, doing Lovin' Feelin with Phil Spector, sitting in the studio and watching what he did was like that was like 9 years of college, musical college. Because when we left, Phil, our first record without Phil was Soul and Inspiration, and I produced that. So I just did what I learned, you know, from watching Phil. Now, if Phil would have produced Soul and Inspiration, he would have made a better record. It went to #1, and it was, but he would have. It wouldn't have been any bigger, but it would have been a better record. He was brilliant. Just to watch what this guy could do in the studio, because you got to know, in those days, in '64, I think it was Lovin' Feelin was done on maybe 3-track machine. So he was mixing as the guys were playing it live. The verb, the EQing, the thing, because when he sent them home, said, okay, we're done, the record was done. So, well, then he would overdub maybe strings, but it was done. It was mixed. It was all done. And, you know, get guys to try and do that now. And we said, my Spector wanted to produce us, because he was doing, like, you know, the Ronettes and all these girl groups. But so we were going to go in with Phil, and he went to Barry and Cynthia and said, I'm going to produce the Righteous Brothers, write them a song. And they wrote You've Lost That Lovin Feelin, and why they wrote Lovin Feelin, I don't have a clue, because we were R&B, we were, you know, fast rock and roll singers. I mean, we did some ballads, but they were just for the albums. And they wrote Lovin Feelin, and Phil Spector and Barry Mann met us at the studio and said, I want you to hear the song. And Barry Mann sang lead, did my part, but he has kind of a higher, you know, you never close your eyes. And Phil was now coming in and singing the harmony that became Bobby's part. So they got done, I swear to God, I said, well, this is a great song for the Everly Brothers, but this isn't, you know, this isn't. They said, no, just let's learn it. And I said, okay. So we started learning in their key, you never close your eye. Well, I couldn't get to the, you lost that love. It was way too high. So they'd drop it, you never close, drop it, couldn't get it still good. We finally got down, you never close your eye. And it became an entirely different sounding, darker, adult kind of sounding song. And when we released it, and we thought it was a great record, but we didn't think it was a hit because it was too long. It was, you know, a 4-minute record, and in those days it had to be 2 minutes and 20 seconds or forget about it. And so Phil sent it to the distributors, and the distributors literally thought it was on the wrong speed. They thought it should be, you never close your eyes anymore, instead of, you never close your eyes. And they thought it was on the wrong speed, so we just figured, well, this is this. But everything that was wrong with it kind of made it special, you know what I mean? You know, it's like Bob Dylan. I mean, you know, Bob Dylan, everything that he didn't, as far as looks or this or that or stuff, made him more magical, you know, and he brilliant writer. But and now today, Lovin Feelin's the most played record in the history of American radio, and I still can't wrap my brain around that. going into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame was more natural than it's the most played record in the history of American radio. At least there's 50 of us in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. No, it's the most, so it was pretty cool. Yeah, In the Ghetto, written by Mac Davis. He had a whole bunch of songs. I probably turned down about 5 or 6 of them. But when I had left the Righteous Brothers in the 60s, we went back together about in the 70s. But one of the first songs I did was a song called Brown Eyed Woman. And it was about a white guy in love with a black woman. I shouldn't say it because a lot of white girls will come up and say, see, I got brown eyes. That song was written for me. Well, it was about it's a racial song. And then I did a song, Peace Brother Peace. And Mac brought me In the Ghetto. I said, oh man, I just don't want to do another protest or, I want to do a love song. So I passed on In the Ghetto. And Elvis Presley needed a break at the time, so I figured. and I did pass on 2 or 3 that Elvis did of Mac's. And yeah, We Gotta Get Out of This Place was written for Bobby and I. And I think Barry and Cynthia sent that when they finished Soul and Inspiration, they sent us that, and I think Kicks, and a whole bunch of songs that we passed on. And if you hear Eric Burton and the Animals version of We Gotta Get Out, you'll hear In the Dirty Old Part of the City. Well, that was my part. And then he jumps up and does Bobby's part, which I thought that's pretty brave, pretty good singer to do both of us. And I turned down He Ain't Heavy, He's My Brother. Neither one of us want to be the first to say goodbye. I've turned down 9 careers, and I was the first guy to record You Got a Friend before James did it. Carole King wrote it, and I just signed with A&M, and Herb played me some songs. I said, oh God, I love that song. He said, Carole wrote it. He said, well, maybe she'll come. So she came into the studio, played the piano, and her husband at the time, Charlie, played the bass. And thank God, one of my friends came up from Orange County with me to watch me record it. We recorded it, then she put her voice on some harmonies with me, and it was a stone smash record. All it needed was maybe a string or 2 or a flute, and Herb Alpert was producing me. He says, no, I just don't think so. And I'm telling you, God, I wish I had a copy of that. It was a hit record. You could just tell.